Are you looking to save some money on your next home by buying land and then having a modular home brought in? You do want to check these items first, otherwise you could end up losing a bunch of money instead of saving it. My name is Felicia. I'm a land investor and partner at Compass Land USA. We have bought and sold hundreds of properties across the US, and today I'm going to go over a list of things that you need to watch out for if you plan on purchasing land for a modular home. So first, what is a modular home? A lot of people confuse this with manufactured homes, but they're actually very different. So a manufactured home is built after 1976 and is subject to the Housing and Urban Development, or the HUD code. This is a national standard. A manufactured home will arrive to your property in just a couple of really big pieces. So it'll often just show up as a single wide, and then they'll plop it down on your property and finish install there. A modular home is similar to a manufactured home because it is built in a factory, but this is really the key distinction. It is not subject to the HUD code. Instead, it's subject to state level codes. So it's not subject to the HUD, which is a national code, a national standard. It is subject to state level codes. And these could be the same as the HUD or totally different. It varies by state. So a modular home will show up to your property in a bunch of pieces, much more similar to a site-built home rather than a manufactured home. Trucks will show up with walls, doors, windows, and then they'll put it all together there on site. And modular homes these days can get pretty fancy. You can go 2 stories, high-pitched roof, nice big porch. Some of them are really lovely. And it's really important to make the distinction between a modular and a manufactured home because in the eyes of the county, these are not always the same thing. So knowing that, what should you be looking for with your next land purchase to find out if it's suitable for a modular home? So obviously the very first thing that you want to start with is location. And normally a lot of people know this already. We chat with a lot of folks who already know that they want to retire to Florida or that they want to have a modular home in Arizona. We also chat with families who want to move, and then you have to consider things like nearby schools, amenities, hospitals, fishing, shopping. Like, you kind of need to decide what's important to you and how close you want to be to that amenity or service. People normally have at least a rough idea of where they want their land to be. So once you have your location narrowed down to the county level, the very first thing you need to do is check the zoning. Modular homes aren't allowed just anywhere in a county. Often they're limited to certain zoning areas, particularly residential zones. So the county's zoning ordinance will give you all of the details on this. They'll let you know which zones a modular home can go into, the minimum size requirements, if you need a basement, whether or not it can be installed on a permanent foundation, if it can be multi-sectional, all that good stuff. So to find the county's zoning ordinance normally isn't too difficult. You can head over to Google and search for the county name and then zoning ordinance. We get a lot of modular requests for Colorado, so let's just try Park County, Park County zoning ordinance. And you may have to fish around through the results a bit. Some county resources are better than others. This one looks promising here. PDF document view, we'll give that a go. Okay, so it looks like we found it, but it is a bit of a pain to go through 100 so odd pages and find everything that you want to know about modular homes. So I personally wouldn't sit there and read this entire document. What I'd recommend you do if it comes up in a form like this is just pick up the phone and call the county's planning and zoning department or the building department, and they'll kind of push you in the right direction. You can ask them all of your questions. They'll be able to tell you, and then you're done. You don't have to sit there and read through a 100-page PDF. But if you do want to read through the PDF or you want it just handy for the future, that's how you find it. So zoning is really the most important thing that you need to check once you have your location narrowed down. This is going to make or break your entire land investment, so please do not skip this step. You do not want to pay for that perfect property and then find out a year or 6 months or 3 years down the road that you cannot bring a modular home onto it. So once you've confirmed the location and that the zoning allows for a modular home, there are still a couple things that you need to be aware of. So you want to consider the size of the property and make sure that once your modular home is installed, you still have several feet around the perimeter. And the zoning ordinance, again, will specify the minimum distance required for that. You probably want to consider where you're going to place your modular home so that you still have the space for a driveway or to park your car or for kids in the backyard, whatever it may be. You also want to check for road access, not just for you, but for the company delivering your modular home. And this is going to be especially important in areas like Arizona or Colorado, where you may not have a nice paved road to your property. So will the trucks be able to get to your property? Will the roads and will the dirt roads be big enough for them to navigate there with all the pieces of your modular home in tow? And by the way, when you spec out your modular home, you really want to ask the company doing it how much the delivery and install costs are. Because if your property is in a super rural area, the delivery cost might go through the roof compared to if it's much closer to town. Something you definitely want to be aware of before you commit to anything. Another huge consideration that you do not want to skip is utilities. Are there utilities on the property? Do you have city water and sewer? Or do you have to install a septic and drill a well? Are there power lines in place? Can you go solar? Will the county allow it? The power lines especially are a big one because if power is far away, you have to pay to bring that in by the foot. So the cost of bringing in 200 feet is very different than the cost of bringing it in like a mile or 2 miles. And the last thing you want is to buy land specifically for a module home and then find out that it's going to cost you more than what your home is worth to get utilities to the property. And if you need more info on this, I do have a separate video and post on how to find out if a property has utilities. I'll make sure that's linked up in the description for you here. While you're looking at utilities, probably wouldn't hurt to ask the county zoning and building department if you need a permanent foundation or if you can have a basement, and then get cost estimates on that. So those are really the big ticket items that you want to check. But another thing you need to consider is financing. If you have the cash to pay for the land up front, good on ya. If you do not, don't worry, there are still options for you. You can try getting a loan from a bank or a traditional lender, but normally with vacant land, it's pretty difficult to do that. So a great option for you is a lot of land investors like myself will offer owner financing, and we don't do credit checks or charge prepayment penalties. So that's a great option for you. If you want to see the steps, you can come onto our website here, compasslandusa.com. Click on that How to Buy Land section, and then scroll down under the video. We have 5 steps, how to buy land with owner financing. So that's detailed out for you there if that's something you're interested in. So those are really the big things that you need to check when buying land for a modular home. Checking these things will help you get a better idea for how much it's actually going to cost to get your dream property and set up a modular home on it. If you've done this already, if you've found the land, you brought in the modular and you're living your best life, Let me know in the comments how that worked out for you. I'd be really interested to hear your experience with that. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know if this was useful or helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We do lots of land buying related videos and tips like this, as well as custom property tours for all of our properties. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.